Hey everybody, so continuing the tradition of short form, less in-depth history videos, today I'll be talking about this Kingston Arms arming sword. This is a 13th century so-called Type 14 arming sword made by Kingston Arms and is made in China according to Cult of Athena. I could have sworn that these were made in India based on the way that the edge came in. A lot of times swords made in China will often have a continuous grind from the center of the blade to the edge, and it gives you a very nice, typically gives you a pretty nice cutting edge because you don't have a lot of extra material trying to push through the target. This one came to me with a very severely angled edge. So we had a pretty thick blade with a short secondary bevel, so where the bevel starts to go down to the edge, a very short secondary bevel, which meant that that bevel was very thick, so it had a pretty severe kind of wedge-shaped angle to it. The edge itself actually felt pretty sharp, like it felt decent, it had good bite to it, but I think that really severe angle on the edge contributed to some pretty poor cutting performance. So I was breaking bottles left and right. Tatami was right out. It just tried to push into the tatami, wouldn't really cut it at all. So I had to spend about an hour reprofiling that edge, and it's something more like a continuous grind now. You can see all the spalling marks on it from the work sharp. I haven't polished that out yet. That is not the way that this blade looked. It had a decent feather, smooth polish to it. What we have is an overall 34 5/8 inch length with an advertised weight of 2 pounds 1.5 ounces and a blade made of 9260 high carbon steel that is 28 3/16 inches long. And even though it's 2 pounds for a one-handed sword that seems on paper pretty heavy, it actually feels pretty good in the hand. It's balanced really well, and I think that has to do with the fact that it does have a decent distal taper on it. We have a very generous fuller running up the middle, so it's cut out here. And then, of course, it comes to a really severe point that would be sufficient for thrusting. It also has a stainless guard and a peened pommel. Now, the pommel is not peened on super well. I think it's more of a cosmetic thing. I haven't noticed anything loosening up, but it's a pretty rough peen, and there's hammer marks around it. It's not quite flush, but overall, I think that's just a cosmetic issue. That so far hasn't really impacted performance. Again, I haven't had anything loosen up. Another thing that's worth calling out is the grip is leather wrapped, and I assume wood core. I haven't taken it apart to look and probably won't, but it is really smoothly textured, and when it gets wet, I've noticed it gets pretty slick and a little bit difficult to hang on to. It also includes a pretty nice looking leather wrapped wood core scabbard that's fitted to the guard really nicely and fits decently snug in. Now, the color of this was more of a kind of a light milk chocolatey reddish brown. I ended up soaking mine in neatsfoot oil just to bring the red out and to darken it up a little bit, but I wanted to call that out because chances are if you get one of these, it won't look exactly like this one in color unless you reproduce that oiling technique. So these sell for around $330 on Cult of Athena's website. I bought mine from the Sword Buyer's Guide store because they got theirs in before Cult of Athena did. And they seem to kind of come and go with availability. Overall, it seems pretty well worth it, even knowing that the edge geometry needs work right out of the box. I really like the feel of it, and it's held up pretty well in cutting tests, so I'll probably end up looking at getting some more arming swords from Kingston Arms. Anyway, this is Jay. Hope you liked the video. Please click like if you did. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you again soon next time.